Well, for the last 5 years, Matt Cardona has been saying that Zack Ryder, the character, is dead and that we would never see Zack Ryder in WWE television again. But that's all changed. WWE SmackDown, Zack Ryder, woo woo woo, you know it, returned to SmackDown as part of the Last Time Is Now tournament to see who will be John Cena's final opponent on December 13th. Now, I'm not watching the SmackDown at the moment. I'm still on my WWE break. Have to be honest, it's been glorious to have a break. But I do still keep on top of notifications, things that are happening. I check my phone each morning for news. So I turn on my phone this morning. The first thing I see is a photo of a very young Steph DeLander at a meet and greet with Matt Cardona and Tyson Kidd back in, 10 years ago, I guess, 10, 12 years ago. Steph's been a guest on this show. We've spoken about her relationship with Matt. Matt's obviously just been a best man at her wedding. You know, those two have carved up an incredible trail on the independent scene as the king and queen of the deathmatch. I've spoken to Matt Cardona before, not on this show, but funnily enough, on my other show that you might not even realise I have, Good Journeys, which is a show all about inspiring people and their journeys and what they've learned along the way. I interviewed Matt because me and him both lost our jobs on the very same day in April 2020 during that very, very surreal period of time. We were both let go from our companies for similar reasons. So I interviewed Matt before I even had Wrestling Life, before this was even a kernel of an idea. I had a conversation with Matt about what it meant to lose his job in 2020 and how he had reinvented himself in the years since. That conversation was back in 2023. It went on to be one of my most popular conversations that I had on Good Journeys. That made a sizable step towards me deciding to go out and have this channel, Wrestling Life, because I knew there were more stories out there, just like Matt's, of wrestlers who had taken a gamble on themselves, who had been resilient, who had overcome obstacles, and who had found success the hard way. I have nothing but respect for Matt, and I know that from every interview I've listened to or watched or conversation I've had over the years, I know that really the one thing he's always wanted to do is be a WWE superstar and return to WWE. So I have no qualms whatsoever with Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder being back in WWE. I was surprised that he makes his return after 5 years. Obviously, we've seen him on NXT, but I was surprised that he makes his return in 5 years. Firstly, as Zack Ryder, not Matt Cardona, or I fully understand why. But secondly, in a losing effort. And the reason for that is, as soon as I saw that he'd returned in that tournament, I thought, this is brilliant. This is long-term storytelling, the kind of thing that we as wrestling fans dine out on. Because immediately, as soon as I heard Zack Ryder, not Matt Cardona, had come back to WWE for that tournament, I'm thinking of 2012, I'm thinking of Eve Torres, I'm thinking of the love triangle between the three of them, I'm thinking of Zack Ryder being thrown off a stage in a wheelchair by Kane, and I'm thinking of all the conversations I've heard and all the interviews over the years when Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, has said that he wants to get his revenge on John Cena. So I got really excited when I saw that he'd returned, because obviously I immediately thought, well, he's won this match against LA Knight, and this could be the final opponent, and that would be a beautiful, lovely story arc that could also set Zack Ryder up to have a main event run in WWE, that main event run that has eluded him. That hasn't been the case. LA Knight won, so Zack Ryder comes back for the first time in 5 years and loses. But obviously the internet has gone nuts with it. Everyone's thrilled. Photos of him in Chelsea everywhere online. There is so much love and support for Matt Cardona as genuinely one of the hardest working people in wrestling, who has, he's obviously just still such a huge fan of this industry and such an appreciator of the business, but also has just done so much to help so many people as well through his toy company and through, kind of really, really shining a light on the legends of yesteryear. So I'm really excited. I'm going to drop a couple of links in the comments below to that conversation I had with Matt back in 2023, because it's a different kind of conversation to probably you're used to on this channel. I'm going to drop a link as well to the clip I mentioned of Steph DeLander talking about Matt and the role that he's had. I believe she described him as her crazy older brother. But I'm really excited to see what happens from here. I have no idea. It clearly is a full-time return by the looks of things. He's got a new merch line already. I mean, obviously Matt Cardona is not going to be someone who's not going to be pushing his merch to the hilt from the second he's arrived. So but it looks like Zack Ryder is back full time, signed to a WWE contract. Where he goes from here, well, obviously we have seen, us fans over the last 5 years have seen what Matt Cardona is capable of. We have seen that he's more than capable of being a world champion. That is the one thing that obviously always eluded him in WWE. I think also a lot of us would love to see him have an intercontinental title run. So I do wonder whether there is an opportunity for Zack Ryder to beat John Cena for the intercontinental title before John Cena's last match. Now, I wonder if that's maybe where we're going for Survivor Series. Zack Ryder, John Cena, intercontinental title, irrespective of the tournament. Obviously, I've got my intercontinental belt there. It's signed by a few guys. One of the guys that it's signed by is Matt Cardona. He only held that belt for one day, but what a significant day, winning it at WrestleMania 32 and getting to have his photograph backstage with Scott Hall, the late great Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, holding the championship in a beautiful full circle moment from when a very, very young Matt Cardona had met Razor Ramon, then Intercontinental Champion, back in 1994. It would be incredible, I think, to see Zack Ryder become an Intercontinental Champion and having a really, really long run with it and bringing a lot of prestige back to that belt. So perhaps that's where this is going. My logical head tells me that is wonderful full-term storytelling, but that's something that John Cena would want, something that Matt Cardona would want, and the kind of draw that would bring Zack Ryder and not Matt Cardona back to the WWE. So I would love to hear your thoughts, but more than anything, congratulations to Matt Cardona for his WWE return, because I know that is something that he's wanted for a long, long time, and boy, does he deserve it. Him and Chelsea Green, what a couple, what a power act, and really excited to see what happens now, whether they're going to become an on-screen pairing, and just where we go from here. So drop a comment below. As always, this is your channel, not mine. I want to hear from you. This is a community. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff, and let me know what you think of the return of Zack Ryder to WWE. Woo, woo, woo. You know it.